On today's show, financial planner Ryan Chin, he's going to shed some light on registered retirement savings plans in Canada. And he's going to clarify a bunch of those myths that are out there that lead to confusion. And play-by-play announcer Dan Shulman stops by to talk Blue Jays baseball and share his thoughts on the upcoming NCAA March Madness Tournament. Get ready, folks. Here comes the first pitch.
This is Kelly and Company.
Always want to give you ways to reach out to Kelly and Company. I'm Kelly MacDonald here. Email us at kellyco@ami.ca, please. And call us at 1-866-509-4545. 1-866-509-4545. Always love to hear from you. Maybe if you leave us a message, we can put it out here on the air. Nazreen Abdul-Majid joins me. So I've been obviously practicing the email since for some reason over the last week I've fallen off of the delivery train here and made it kind of like messy every time I go to give it. It's the funniest thing because that email's been around for ages and it's like, wow, how does that happen? Same with this phone number. Once in a while, it just zeroes out. If you said to me, hey, by the way, what's the contact number? I'd have to probably go look it up. It's so weird how certain things like that make you second guess yourself like a postal code.
Yeah, it's weird how your brain works, right? Because it's as if you don't say it enough, but you say it a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, and you start to rely on stuff.
It should be a jingle in your head, just like the 7-Eleven pizza jingle that's still in my head.
That one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I blend things together. Like I'll start getting mixed up over... what is it? Our pizza here in Canada, but then we'll get the Little Caesars commercials and stuff like that, do the pizza, whatever it is. And I really get it mixed up because I'm not sure anymore which one's what. And I don't pay a lot of attention to commercials. Sports, I tend to record. And so I can skip through the commercial, start watching it a little bit later so that I'm behind in the game. But if I wait too long, then you end up finding out the score ahead of time through looking at social media or something. And it just kills it for me. Lucia can't be here with us today on the show, so we wish her best. She's got the flu and let us know that she just couldn't do it today, had no voice to work with us. So... of course, we went gathering, and Nazreen has come up with a handful of items to talk about. Niz, let's get into your first one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So a single strawberry is causing a stir on social media after an influencer posted a TikTok video featuring the fruit with a $19 price tag. Again, wow. Single strawberry, guys. I'm not saying strawberries as in a pack. No, it's one. The strawberry sold at Los Angeles-based Aruhan comes from the company LEMI. It's priced at $19 for one fruit. Influencer Alyssa and Tochi, whose aunt and uncle own Aruhan, shared the video where she taste tests the strawberry. This is a $19 strawberry from Aruhan. Apparently, it's the best tasting strawberry in the world, she says in the video. And Tochi goes on to call it, quote, the best strawberry I've ever had in my life. The video quickly went viral, drawing millions of views and sparking reactions. Many commenters, including other influencers, describing the expensive strawberry as dystopian and a social experiment to see what people would spend, how much people would spend on a fruit. The controversy even led to a late night host, Jimmy Kimmel, and guest Mindy Kaling trying the strawberries on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And Tochi was surprised by the reaction. And she says, honestly, I wasn't even going to post the video at first. I had no idea it would go viral. Representatives from LEMI and Aruhan explained the high price by saying the strawberries are from Japan's Tochigi prefecture, known as the Strawberry Kingdom, and it's special for its special strawberries. The fruit is picked at its peak and arrives at Aruhan within 24 to 48 hours, ensuring freshness. And they said that they have a very short shelf life, and getting them fresh from Japan explains the price. So don't knock it until you try it, they say. Listen, this story just makes me frustrated because it's it's one single fruit. I don't care it's how fresh it is. I don't care if it's picked from the tree the same hour. Okay, I honestly don't care. It's the fact that $19 for one single strawberry. Would you ever spend that on a single strawberry? I don't care if it's the best strawberry in the world.
The problem is, well, no, right off the top, I say to you, I can't believe, first of all, something would be that good, right? That it would cost that. But I often wonder, have I ever run into the one thing on the planet that I could taste and say, oh my, and become like literally instantly addicted to where that I might pay multiple dollars for something that normally I would pay mere cents for in a bushel? It's really hard to believe because somebody figured this out probably hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands, and said, wow, these are amazing, and didn't have to pay $19. They just kept eating them and eating them. So now you start saying this is a delicacy, this is something so special, we sell them one at a time. If you want 5 of them, you're over $100. Okay, all right, I have the money, I can do it, but it still just seems absurd. Somebody sees the value. Somebody must pay for it to get to that price. But I just don't know how you could stop at one. If it's that good, how could you stop at one? So it's got to be one of the most expensive indulgences of fruit that someone could do. And I'm sure there's other things we can come up with that are $80 an ounce or whatever it might be, or something measured off or per item. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I just go back to, could anything be worth it to you because of the taste to literally almost make you instantly addicted to that taste? And I don't know. I've never experienced it.
I could tell you that I love strawberries, okay? I love strawberries. When they're in season, it's all I can get. And the packs are, I forgot how much. It's like around, what, $8 or something for a pack?
At this time of year, for sure.
Yeah. So I would get a pack. $8, no problem, for a bunch of strawberries, for sure. I love strawberries, but not to the extent of, okay, I find the strawberry that apparently it's the best in the world for $19. I don't care if it's in a crystal case. Okay, it's a strawberry that you're gonna bite into one bite. It's one bite. It's gonna last for 2 seconds in your mouth. Okay, it's not gonna be that amazing that if you get 5, it's $100. 5 strawberries for $100? Excuse me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
you're not even paying for the quart. You're just talking about in the winter in Canada, that $8. You're not even like spending half of the money that a strawberry from Japan that we're speaking of right now is worth. What do you think on this? Ryan Chin joining us, our financial planner, who will be giving us some talk on finances in just a little while. But speaking of keeping your finances in order, especially with the way things are these days, is this a good use of somebody's money, Ryan? And if so, what level, millionaire, billionaire, would be so extravagant to be able to just afford this like it's nothing, just like that?
Yeah, Cal, I mean, wow. $19 for a strawberry. But I'll tell you, I will say, I mean, when was the last time you went to the X and, did you have a $100 hamburger?
No.
I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
like, I've heard of ridiculous stuff in stadiums. You go to some of these football games and they have, but these $80 things have a steak on it, have the prime rib burger, have some other obscure meat on it. They're just ridiculous things that they build and make it this colossal thing you could barely eat. But one little strawberry that you that was so fantastic.
There are $50 coffees that you can, just a cup of coffee. Listen, I think there is quite a movement afoot with respect to what they call experiences, and people will pay for experiences, and whether it's biting into a $19 strawberry for that experience, or having a burger that's got gold flecks in it, and I think that was the one for the X there, and I mean, there are bars out there who have exotic cocktails, and there are $100 cocktails, $200. I think I saw a $5,000 cocktail promoted at a spot in Dubai. And, you know, this is what we're talking about again is an experience. It's not just simply, it's an overindulgence, of course, but it's not just simply, hey, I'm going to pick up, you know, a pack of strawberries to share with some buds. It's like, hey, I'm gonna enjoy this event.
Well, the concept of eating gold blows my mind too. Like, I can't even conceive that. Like, painting it on something, using it to paint helmets, like the one football team used to say back in the Notre Dame. Okay, that's something that they're extravagant enough can spend the money on, but otherwise, wow. Niz, what else do you have for us?
I have to add to the gold because I found a YouTuber, and I think it was in I forgot where it was. I think it was in Japan or something, where he was trying out a $2,000 pizza slice.
Oh, yes.
A slice of pizza, and basically what it has on is caviar and gold sheddings. I don't know what they're called. Like
gold
just
flecks,
gold on top.
Gold flecks. Yeah.
Yep. So he bit into it, and he's like, I don't taste the gold at all. Like, this is $2,000 for what?
That's why you don't. It's not going to have a tinny or an iron taste.
Has
little rust.
You know, exactly. It's expensive. Obviously, you're going to pay that amount for that. But the fact that you're like eating gold, but it doesn't taste like anything, just mind blowing.
I wonder what straight gold tastes like. Anyway, we digress. We're not going to find that out anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. On to the next story here. A man was awarded over $200 after suing a movie theater for showing too many commercials, guys, before a film. Abhishek from Bangalore filed a lawsuit against the PVR Multiplex after attending a screening of Sam Bahadur in December of 2023. He claimed the film was scheduled to end at 6:30, didn't finish just before 7 p.m. because it was preceded by 2 public service announcements and 17 commercials. He counted, guys. Abhishek argued that the delayed ending caused him to miss a work call. He sought $547 in damages for what he called an unfair trade practice, plus $57 for, quote, mental agony, and $115 for legal costs. So the Bangalore District Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission ruled in his favor, awarding him $230 in damages and $92 for legal fees. And the ruling stated that time is valuable, and 25 to 30 minutes of commercials is a significant waste for people with tight schedules. Abhishek hopes the ruling encourages businesses in India to be mindful for their customers' time. And he said every other business in India has started to think about time being of the essence for people. So this is crazy, just actually suing a movie theater for too many commercials. And we have this problem here, by the way. So if a movie theater says that it's screening at 9:30, it's not going to play until like 9:45, 9:50 here. So
and then the length, if you look it up, what's the length? It's of the film, not of those commercials included, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you go to a play and they say the running time, generally they'll say includes intermission time, whereas here they're not saying it. So like they said, I think they got them because the reality is, you know, you sit there and say a movie's 120 minutes and you slap on 30 minutes of commercials on top of that. I don't care when they're running. It really does mess with people's schedules. Otherwise, you know, I'd say, yeah, that's kind of shaky. You know, you're going to run it. It is a lot. It would drive most people absurdly, you know, just like, what? I'm not coming back here. I'll watch at home this stuff when it comes out in 6 months. Ryan, have you experienced this massive commercial thing? I don't really recall it a lot, but in the old days they used to run trailers, not trailers, well, they did trailers, but they also used to actually run in the serials and stuff like that in the real old days before whatever the main film was.
Oh, and I even remember standing up for the national anthem.
Oh my goodness.
No way.
I don't.
Before a movie theater? Before a movie.
Wow.
Before a movie.
Wow.
Before the movie started, they played the "Oh Canada."
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Then the little cartoon to tell you to go to the lobby and get yourself a drink and the whole bit.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't think I remember that. I not any that I've gone. I know it was done because I remember my parents saying that you'd have to stand. What? But then they used to have on Saturday afternoons, you'd get your Bugs Bunny trailers and everything like that, where they'd have for the kids like a whole bunch of tied together stuff that they'd run.
Yeah.
Nazreen, you got one more?
I think.
Or do you want to save it?
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Yeah,
but...
let's save yours. I do have one more we can get into in a little bit. But any other comments there on movie length? I don't think I've experienced that, but I tend not to go to movies. But how long would you say? Do you count trailers as these same promos? That because this guy did, right?
I mean, this guy said 17 commercials, and I don't know if like he meant by trailers as well added to it. I honestly enjoy watching the trailers just to see what's coming up and what's going on. So I enjoy the trailers. I don't enjoy the commercials, of course. I get impatient during like when I'm watching Amazon Prime or on YouTube and they put like 3 commercials in a 2-minute video. I get impatient with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
but
it's interesting you say that, right?
Out of my way to sue people for it.
Yeah, but would you now pay for the commercial versions of Netflix or whatever, or would you always, you're so used to it, just say forget it? No, I'll pay the extra. I don't want those stupid commercials like you'd get on YouTube unless you're a YouTube subscriber.
I find myself impatient, yes, but I am always against paying extra just to remove the commercials because I'm like, I'll just be patient. I'll just get over it. It's fine. Yep. It's fine. I'll get over it.
Well, that's the thing on Prime. I think Prime gives you
Netflix
the option.
too, I believe.
So many.
Pay a little
on
extra.
Prime, there's too many commercials. Like, there's too many. But I have to suck it up because I'm like, I'm not paying extra few dollars for it. No way.
Yeah, I don't really mind either way. I mean, YouTube, the thing I hate the most, if I'm watching something on YouTube and a commercial comes on, sometimes they're just so loud. You're enjoying something, and then the commercial is just so much louder than the content because so much content is put up by people on their own. It's not like a commercial broadcaster where all the millions of dollars set to make things run smoother, even out sound and everything, and broadcast quality material in the same way. Awesomeness, thank you for those. That's really wonderful. Folks, we're looking for members of the disability community to join our AMI research panel. Our research panel guides us with every decision that we make at AMI, including programming, media consumption, and accessibility. Participants are compensated for all long-form studies that they agree to participate in. For more information and to join, go to ami.ca/panel. We'd love to have you on board. Also, would you remember to check out our podcast from your podcast platform of choice? While you're in there, stop for a moment. Maybe give us a rating and review. We appreciate your time for sure. And if you could give us a kind word or so, or anything to help us get our show better, we'd really appreciate hearing from you. There are many myths about registered retirement savings plans in Canada that can lead to quite a bit of confusion. Let's bust some of the biggest ones with our guest, Ryan Chin, financial planner at Sun Life Financial. Ryan, I guess we should quantify here. What is an RRSP?
Yeah, great kickoff here, Cal. Yeah, so a registered retirement savings plan is an account that offers deferred taxation, but what it also does is it allows you to have a tax deduction in the year that you make the deposit. So for those of us who want to get a little bit of a tax return at the end of the year, as we're earning money through the year, we can contribute to a registered retirement savings plan and reduce our total income for the year of contribution.
Okay, excellent. Now, we've got a bunch of the myths to go through here, so Niz and I can try to bounce some of these off you, or obviously you can pick them up, pick up the ball where you want to. You can only hold cash in an RRSP. Is that right?
Yeah, a great myth to bust. I mean, typically when you open a registered retirement savings plan and you deposit money, it will just go to cash. So it's important to really work with an advisor, whether that be at the bank or with someone at Sun Life or any financial institution, and talk to them about your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and your comfort in investing, because you can invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, GICs, exchange traded funds. I mean, there's so many options within a registered retirement savings plan that you can choose from, but you need to have an appropriate advisor, or if you want to do the research yourself, do it yourself, but make sure that you're investing the money and not just letting it sit in cash.
And I'd imagine be reasonably thorough, but also either make up your mind yourself what you're doing it for, what you really hope to get out of it, or expect you to do that kind of thing, Ryan, for the person or an equivalent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the next one is RRSPs are better than TFSAs.
That's a great question, Nazreen. And you know what? A registered retirement savings plan versus a tax-free savings account. So as I mentioned, a registered retirement savings plan allows you to make a deposit, which will equal a deduction of your total income for the year that you make that deposit. You can grow your money in that account. It is tax deferred until you start to withdraw the income. The difference is, for a tax-free savings account, when you make a deposit, there is no deduction. However, instead of the money being the growth of the money being tax deferred, it actually grows tax free. So they both have great value. The difference is what is the intention for the money. So if it's long-term money, you don't need to use it, you want to save it for retirement, registered retirement savings plan. A little bit more shorter term or more flexible access to the money, tax-free savings. Just a different option, not one better than the other.
And with that, because you may be in that where taxes are a little less to worry about. In Canada, do we have enough areas that is something, Ryan, that we could count on? Or, you joke around about places where, hey, they don't charge tax for this or that kind of thing if you do that. I don't really think about, because I think across the board, especially when it comes to something like retirement, is there that bracket that really is different? A neighborhood, an area, a town, a region. I understand breaks in certain other areas, maybe more so if you're spending as opposed to in this situation.
Yeah, so I'm a little unclear on the total question, but I mean, across Canada, we here have in Ontario specifically, we have a graduated tax rate. In Alberta, they have flat tax. It's straight tax. Really, where we want to really concentrate on the fact that as we earn any income, we're taxed on that income, and you don't have to be in the highest tax bracket to benefit from an RRSP. Really, the ability to reduce your total income really helps in all brackets, really. Now, if you're earning under $25,000 a year, then maybe the TFSA would be more advantageous, because then you're certainly having that opportunity to grow your money tax free and not worrying about any extra earned income, and that is definitely an advantage.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was thinking more when you retire, if you're moving somewhere, if you're going to be, whether it's out of province, a different place. I was wondering if that's the thing to think about before. Is there that much of a tax variance that when you're retired, I'm going to go to Ottawa versus go to Thunder Bay?
Yeah, and I mean, certainly you can go to Alberta, it's really great. But I mean, when you retire, certainly. So here's the cool thing about an RRSP, because that's when it becomes an income product. We know that as we're earning money, when we're in our working years, and we're earning a salary, whether that's $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year. Now those folks are ordering $19 strawberries. Once you've got that kind of income and you're depositing it into your RRSP and making those contributions and reducing your total income, that's great during your earning years. When you retire and you're not earning that big hefty salary, and you start to remove money from an RRSP because the growth and all that money is being tax deferred till retirement. So once you start pulling that money out, you're in a lower tax bracket. If you were earning, say over $100,000 a year during your working years, well, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket. When you're retired, well, you're really only earning your old age security. Maybe you've got some Canada pension income, and well, that's going to bring you down under that $30,000. So that's quite a dip in your income. So then that's a great time to start accessing those RRSPs, because then you're certainly going to top up your income needs by just pulling from those registered savings.
Okay, so here's a myth. You can't contribute after 65. True?
Yeah. False. So you can contribute right up to your age 71. So and I'll actually say it more correctly, the year in which you turn 71. That is the year that you have to convert your registered retirement savings plan to a registered income fund. So our Canadian government is wonderful in that it allows you for that tax deferral, receiving that that deduction in the year you deposit. That's all well and good during your working years, but then the Canadian government says, hold on, at some point we need that tax money. Mr. Taxman comes a knocking. And at age 71, you must turn that RRSP to an RRIF, or a registered income fund, where you must start taking income from those investments. So, so the myth is you can continue to make RSP contributions beyond age 65, but at that age 71, or the year in which you turn 71, is the year that you must start to consider income from those investments.
Here's a myth. You should max out your RRSP every year. True or false?
Well, I mean, I would say it's a true statement if you're able to. That's definitely a much beneficial thing to do. But for some of us, that's a lofty goal. The registered retirement savings room opens every year. So it accrues, so it builds on itself. So every year that you're employed and earning a salary from an employer, your RRSP room is 18% of your total income for the year. So if you earn $100,000, well, for that year, your RRSP room is $18,000. And then if the next year you earn another $100,000, well, if you didn't put any money into your RRSP the year before, well, now you've got 2 years of totaling $18,000. So it's cumulative. It builds on itself. So for someone like Kelly, who's 900 years old and been working since you probably had a job at 15, Cal?
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
they put me to work.
Yeah, they put you right to work, delivering newspapers or something,
throwing them on the wrong porches, everything like that. But I had the arm, right?
Yeah, the arm. Yeah. Gunning it across the driveway. Anyways, you've been building RSP room, even from that, that young age. So while it would be wonderful to max out that RSP every single year, and certainly a great goal, sometimes it's a little difficult. So we always say make as much as contributions as you can, because we want to make sure we can maximize your retirement.
Okay. Tell me something. Are they tax-free? I think a big question.
Yeah. So not tax-free, but tax-deferred. So when you make that deposit to the registered retirement savings plan, you're going to get a deduction. So let me give you an example. So if you're earning $100,000 a year and you make a deposit of $10,000 to your to your registered retirement savings plan, well, you're going to be taxed at the end of that year as if you only earned $90,000. So there's your tax deduction. So now you're taxed at a lower tax bracket. And so that benefits you in multiple ways. So then that $10,000 is going to sit in there and grow over time. It's going to earn some interest if you invest it appropriately. And when you want to withdraw that money sometime in the future, that money is then withdrawn at your new tax rate, whatever that may be, when you start to withdraw that money out.
And is it true that you lose your RRSP contributions if you don't use them?
No, you, as I mentioned, you accumulate them. So if you don't use it, it's no problem. They'll just keep growing and growing and growing. So, I mean, for someone like Kelly, you probably have, a couple $100,000 worth of room, unless you've been maxing it out every year since you started.
Are you sharing, Kelly?
Yeah.
We don't say that too loud in case that question gets asked.
Hey, hold on. Room is different than actual cash, right? So
right.
You could have a big living room, but if you got nothing in it, it's just a big open room.
That's right. Can't use it for anything. Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So the room is different than actually putting something in it. But yeah, I think that's kind of the key. So the room is cumulative. But one thing is very important, and this is actually something pretty important for people to remember, is if you have made RSP contributions and prior to rolling it to a registered income fund, if you choose to withdraw money from an RRSP, and this is prior to an income fund RRSP, you actually withdraw that money and that room is gone. So if you've made some contributions and you take money out, you can't replace that money with the same room that you did have before. So you lose the room that you initially had.
Okay.
This is more important for folks who are newer to Canada, who may not have a lot of room, to start with. It's not advisable to make an RSP contribution, try to take that money out again, because that room is gone.
Okay. RRSP withdrawals, are they a bad idea? I mean, I've heard they always are.
Yeah, and I mean that builds on the question that I just answered, which is simply, if you need to withdraw the money, then it's not advisable unless you utilize one of the two programs that are available to you. Now we in some of our past episodes, Kel, we talked about the first time home buyer plan.
Exactly.
And that is and that's a great plan. A great program offered by our government that says, if you need to purchase your first home, then you can utilize your RSP to do so. There's also the lifelong learning plan, which is another program that allows you to go to school. So you can withdraw money from your RRSP under those two programs without losing your room. However, those programs do come with some rules and some parameters that you need to make sure that you're well acquainted with before accessing those programs, and gives you the opportunity to replenish your RRSP should you have accessed those programs.
And are RRSPs only good for retirement?
And I mean, it all depends on when you want to retire. I think an RRSP is good for retirement. Yes. Is it good to access, to utilize an RSP to then access those programs like the lifelong learning program or the first home buyer program? Certainly that's an option. I think the RRSP gives you some different features and benefits. One major feature is the ability to have that deduction on the year of contribution. That is absolutely a great benefit to folks who are earning money, who want to reduce their total income. And yeah, I mean, having that money grow in that investment and then be tax deferred until you're in a lower tax bracket, it's a wonderful, wonderful account to utilize for that purpose.
So our RRSP for only high income earners. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that it does benefit high income earners a lot more, certainly. But anybody can open a registered retirement savings plan. Again, all investments will be, we choose the right account for this specific reason. And when you sit down with a financial planner or an advisor, they're gonna want to understand you and more around who you are, what it is you're trying to achieve, what are your goals, and what do you want to use the money for, and that's where it's important to really be transparent with the person you're working with, to really understand, because it's their responsibility to help advise you, provide some options, and guide you as to whether it's a registered retirement savings plan, whether it's a tax-free savings account, or maybe it's a non-registered account. It really depends on where best will suit the need that you're trying to achieve.
Ryan, fantastic. Of course, as usual, folks, you can reach Ryan directly at Sun Life to talk a little bit more about financial planning. You can send an email to ryan.chin@sunlife.com. He'd love to hear from you. You can also learn more about financial literacy. Just subscribe to the AMI original podcast, Eyes on Your Money with Ryan and Becky. Pal, we'll talk to you next month.
Thanks so much. Enjoy.
Ryan Chin joining us. And Nisreen, really great to have Ryan part of our conversation off the top of the show. Thank you for collecting some things to talk about.
Oh, thank you.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. That's at Kelly & Co. AMI. Play-by-play announcer Dan Shulman is with us to chat a little Blue Jays baseball and share some thoughts on the NCAA March Madness Tournament coming up. Dan, welcome back to Kelly and Company.
Thank you. Good to be back with you.
Keeping you so busy at this time of the year. We'll get to that, but one of the things that you and I share in common, Dan, is a bit of time volunteering at Radio Western's community radio station. You were there a little bit before me. I think I started there around 88. You started in 86.
85, actually. My first year at Western was
wow.
85, 86, so I walked in there in September of 85. I was at Western for 4 years, but actually in my last year at Western, didn't do anything at CHRW. It had been like a super fun hobby, but I decided in my last year at school to focus on my, not that I wasn't already, but to focus on my academics exclusively. So I was at CHRW from 85 to 88. I did football, basketball, a little hockey, had a talk show called From the Cheap Seats, made some great friends, and little did I know, because I wasn't intending to make a career of being in the media or broadcasting back then, little did I know that would be my starting point.
Man, so for you, as you dabbled around over there, and I hear so many people on there now, and the experience I had playing around there, I was creating a radio drama series when I was there. It really, what a way to inspire yourself. What did you find? Did it the talk show, the play-by-play as we see you doing now? Is that the thing that tipped you over once you finished school?
The play-by-play is what I loved the most from day one, although if we go back to where a much younger version of me was then, I didn't expect to make a career out of this. I graduated with a degree in actuarial science and worked for about 6 months as an actuary after I graduated, and then decided maybe I want to try something else. Let's see if I can get into radio. And when I got into radio, never mind it wasn't play-by-play, it wasn't even sports. I went to CKBB in Barrie and did whatever I was asked to do. I was the new guy, the young guy. It was a 7-person newsroom, and I was number 8 in the pecking order. So,
nice.
But I loved the play-by-play. I'd always grown up a huge I mean, all four sports: hockey, baseball, basketball, football. But I think if you go back in time to the '80s, there weren't nearly as many basketball fans in Canada then as there are now. And I think I may have stood out a little bit just because I loved basketball so much. So most of the play-by-play I did at Western was basketball. I did a fair bit of football and a little bit of hockey. But the play-by-play was the most exciting thing. I've still got some rusty old cassette tapes behind me in my office here of some of those games from the 1980s. But again, in that moment, as I was there, I wasn't expecting to make a career out of it. It was just a really, really fun hobby that ended up later turning into a career.
I think that's amazing. And it speaks to what a station like that can give people and where we could go. Somebody get in there not even thinking, hey, this is really something I maybe could make a career out of. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And then it leap into something. But just to have the venue to play around, that's how I felt about it. That, my gosh, all I got to do is volunteer, come in here, and I can have a lot of fun and meet some really cool people who move on to do other things.
And that was a few of us who worked there at the time wound up working in the media after. But it kind of became the way I thought of the newsroom back then. It was also a social thing. It was kind of my Cheers bar, if you will. If you remember the show Cheers, the newsroom was like you walk in the door and you know everybody. Everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your face. You've got common experiences and common interests. And that sort of thing. And I don't know if I could do it now the way that I did it then. I literally just knocked on the door. A door said Radio Western. And I knocked on the door and somebody said, come in. And I said, is this the campus radio station? And they said, yes. And I said, do you do sports? And they said, yes. And I said, do you need volunteers? And they said, yes. I don't know if that can be done right now. I mean, the world is a much different place. I didn't have any qualifications or a resume or a referral or anything. I just knocked on a door. And it was, professionally speaking, clearly the luckiest moment of my life, because that started me on a path towards a career that I've really enjoyed.
Well, and I find it very interesting too, because I would never, in my job search before I got this gig at AMI, I'd never be asked to show my documents from Fanshawe College broadcast radio or anything like that. When going for interviews, your tape spoke for you. You spoke for what you could do, what you'd known, and they were either interested or not. But a lot of time you went to broadcast school, moved on. But here are a lot of great quality people that you met, that I met, that were at a university radio station, weren't even taking any form of radio. They just, hey, I'd like to play around with radio. And then find, I love this, I want to do more. And that's the thing too, that I don't know how easy it is now. I'm sure there are people who can cite it now that they've done it, but it's pretty tough now.
I would say so. If you're the ex-athlete who wants to get into broadcasting after your career, that's a different path, and you certainly can explore that. But for somebody who wants to be a host or a play-by-play announcer or something like that, you have to go through the proper channels now. I took one journalism course, I think, in my second year. But again, that was just out of interest. At no moment before I graduated did I think I was going to have a career in this. I'm really glad I did it. I give my parents all the credit in the world. They, as I've often said, they said to my sisters and me, when you go to school, don't just take courses, get involved. Like whatever it is, just get involved in something. You never know what's out there. And this was my get involved, join a club or a community or whatever the case may be. But, sometimes you don't know where your passion lies until you explore it a little bit, or your skill lies until you explore it. I mean, there are probably millions of great guitarists out there who have never picked up a guitar, but if they had picked up a guitar, they would have found out they'd have been great at it. But you never know unless you try. And it was just, there was no pressure. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't really reporting to anybody. I guess I was. I mean, somebody gave me the opportunity to do games, but they seemed to like me and I loved what I was doing. And, for an 18, 19-year-old, to go to Windsor, to go to Guelph. I went to Halifax for this, what was then known as the CIAU basketball championships. Western made it, I think, my second year, I believe, and went to Halifax and did some games out there. I mean, that was the most exciting thing in the world for a 19-year-old. Little did I know that would be like a tiny seed compared to the things the
travel you do now,
travel I've done and all that. But my first game was at Windsor. I remember it was Western at Windsor football. It was September the something, 1985. I don't remember the date, but I did color commentary for the second half. A friend of mine and I both volunteered. He got the first half, I got the second half, and I think we did stats for each other in the other half. And I loved it. I loved it from day one. And when I started working in this as a career in Barrie in 1990, again, I loved it. I had no background other than what I had done at CHRW. I mean, like, I didn't have a journalism degree or a broadcasting degree or anything like that. But I felt so energized by, man, I really like this. I think this is what I want to do. That's how you work, 100-hour weeks without feeling as tired and skip meals, but it happens. You kind of know when you found the right thing, and I could feel pretty soon that it felt like I had found the right thing for me.
Yeah, some people they say, well, this is a hobby. I don't want to ruin it by getting paid to do it. And sometimes you're lucky because it crosses over. And like you said, you get that energized by just doing it, by thinking about, by preparing to do your work. And it's all part of that package. Awesome, Dan. Thank you for sharing. I better get into baseball talk because I could listen all day to these stories. I love it. Blue Jays got spring training going. I'm kind of curious what you're seeing, what you like, what we should look for.
So I was down there for 3 days last week. I'm back home now. I also do college basketball for ESPN, so I'm in that period now where I'm jumping back and forth. So I wasn't able to be down there for very long. I'll be back down there again in about 12 days. I think the outside world looking at this team, the narrative is, well, they didn't sign the guys they tried to get, and Guerrero's and Bichette are in the last year of their deal. So I think there are these two kind of negative stories that the outside world focuses on. And I get it. They're valid stories. The Blue Jays went after a lot of guys they didn't get, but you know what? They got some guys too. They got Anthony Santander, and they got Max Scherzer, and they got Jeff Hoffman, and they traded for Andres Jimenez. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but I think this is a better team than they were last year. And clearly to make the playoffs or even contend for a playoff spot, they've got to be significantly better than they were last year. But, all you have to do is put up a list of who's gone and who's new. And the list of who's new is, bigger, more extensive than who's gone. They will miss Spencer Horwitz, undoubtedly. He had a really good year for them. But they used him in the deal to get Jimenez, who obviously gives them an elite second baseman. Hopefully he hits more than he did last year. He, in my mind, is shortstop insurance if Bo Bichette is traded or leaves as a free agent. And then they needed the power of Santander. And then the biggest thing, I mentioned Bo a couple of times already, he had an injury-riddled last year and just didn't hit when he was healthy, just never looked like himself. If he just gets back to being the Bo Bichette that he was the first 4.5 years of his career, that's a big gain too. So I think they'll be interesting. I think they'll be better than the outside world thinks they're going to be, but I don't know if it's good enough to be in the playoffs. This is the American League East, and the Yankees are good, and the Red Sox are good, and the Orioles are good, and the Rays are good. And I could see all 5 teams being somewhere between like 82 and 90 wins. I don't know if anybody's going to break away from the pack. It'll be about being healthy, and it'll be about getting, a lot of positive outcomes for the Blue Jays. Can Kirk hit like he did in the second half? Can Bo have a really good year? Kevin Gausman really had to grind through last season. Can he look more like the Gausman of 23 and 22? He had a bit of a shoulder issue at the beginning of last year. They need positive outcomes. Can Max Scherzer give them 25 to 28 starts? He's looked really good in his first 2 in the spring. They need positive outcomes. But if they get more positive outcomes than negative outcomes, maybe they can sneak up on some people.
Can we talk about the hitting coaches? This is the thing that we've been getting the biggest issue with for a number of years, but there seems to be some real positive feel and speak around these guys.
I think so. I just was able to introduce myself and chat for a few minutes with each of them, David Popkins and Lou Iannetta, when I was down there in Dunedin. Every hitting coach, every staff has kind of different ways of getting their ideas across. I don't think we know until the season starts. I thought Matt Haig was a really popular, well-respected guy. It feels like maybe the Blue Jays weren't quite ready to make him the number 1 guy. So they gave him an opportunity to look around, and the Pirates made him their number 1 hitting coach. So he's in Pittsburgh right now. But to me, most of it is on the hitters, to be honest with you. Especially when you've got veteran guys. When a guy like George Springer has been in the majors for 12 years, and sure, right, he wants tips and feedback and pointers and all that, but ultimately each hitter knows what feels good. Yes, they want the information, but they've got to go up there and do the job themselves. It's a really interesting thing. How much does coaching impact it? And I think the messaging is a little bit important. It feels like maybe over the last couple of years at times the hitters had too much information in their head as opposed to just going up there and trusting their instincts and using their muscle memory. But this is all at a level far beyond anything I'm familiar with. I never played anything beyond Little League Baseball in Willowdale, Ontario, and wasn't a very good hitter back then. So, but I'm hoping they hit more. I mean, in 2021, they were about as good an offensive team as there was in baseball. And a lot of that was the same hitting coaches who they had. You know, Guillermo Martinez was the hitting coach in 2021. He was the hitting coach in 2024. So, you know, sometimes it's more about the players than the coaches.
The balls and strikes, automated. You've had a chance to see it. What do you think of this new potential, maybe next year or the year after, coming to the major leagues, but definitely being used in the minors, way of calling and questioning by the catcher, the batter, or the pitcher?
I like it. It's done very fast. It takes 15 seconds tops. Each team gets 2 challenges a game. If you're right, you retain it. So if you're right all the time, you know, in theory, this could go on and on and on, but I don't think it's going to slow the game down too much. If each team did it 4 times in a game, that would add 2 minutes to the game. I think adding 2 minutes to the game is worth it to get 8 important strike calls right, or to see if they're right. I do think it's going to come in 2026. I'll be interested to see what players say about it. I mean, we heard Max Scherzer didn't love it. I think most players do like it. And I understand each pitcher hitter is entitled to, you know, his own opinion on it because it's new. The minor league players are familiar with it already, right? It's been in the minors for a couple of years, a lot at the AAA level over the last couple of seasons. I think it's coming, and I think it's a good idea. I don't like too many delays, too many challenges. Like in my winter job, college basketball, it's gotten out of hand, and I think they've got to do something about it. And it's an easy fix. You just say you get 1 challenge a half or whatever. If you use it, whether you're right or wrong, that's it. You get 1 challenge a half. Maybe they'll do that in baseball. Maybe they'll just say you get 3 a game, whether you're right or wrong. You get 3 a game. Maybe they'll do that just to restrict it a little bit, to keep it from getting too time consuming. But it's very accurate, I believe, although that's, I guess, up for debate a little bit. It's more about the players getting used to it. What exactly is a strike? What exactly is a ball? I don't want the full ABS system. I think that takes away from the game quite a bit. I think the catcher's ability to receive pitches and make pitches look like strikes, that's an important part of the game. So, but this challenge system, I think it'll come in the next year or two, and I'm in favor of it.
Okay, great, Dan. With your winter job, let's switch over there as we got March Madness coming up. Any Canadians that we should look for when we talk NCAA basketball that you want to kind of shout out or tell us to look for over the next couple of weeks as the tournaments unfold?
That's something that I haven't really been thinking about. So I can tell you on the number 1 team in the nation, Aiden Holloway was with Auburn, the number 1 team in the nation. He's now with Alabama, and he is a dual citizen. His mom is Canadian. And he intends, I talked to him about a couple of weeks ago, he would love the opportunity to play for Canada basketball when he is, whenever should the opportunity arise. So he's somebody to keep an eye on. You know, Zach Edey was the dominant force the last couple of years. I don't think we have quite the high level. And to be honest with you, I haven't been asked that question all season, and I'm struggling to come up with names of teams, of guys on teams who would be in the tournament right now. I look at it more just from, and I don't do March Madness. That's on CBS and TBS. I'm with ESPN, so I do the whole regular season. And as soon as the conference tournaments are over, I'm off to baseball. But I think the season as a whole has been a tremendously exciting season with great individual performances, great teams. Still enough of that wide open field that we all love from college basketball. But I think there's not quite as many Canadians playing upper tier college basketball as there were maybe last year, the year before, and all that. There always are. I apologize for not giving you a better answer. Maybe some names will spring to mind as I'm listening to your next question.
Well, Dan, we're about out of time, so I saved you on that one. We're done with that for now, but we'll talk about it in future when you make time for us, Dan, and we so appreciate you doing so. I do want one quick thing out of you, which is probably the loaded question. Have the season of NCAA, does it have the value it used to? Are as many people paying attention to it in your mind, or is there too busy out there now with sports?
No, I think there are. I don't follow ratings all that much, but I know from my producer, my boss, like I hear about ratings. I'm on email chains with ratings, and I know college basketball ratings are actually holding quite well. There are so many distractions, so many channels, and even like the football season is longer than it used to be, both the NFL season and the college football season. So they bleed into basketball a little bit more. But I think college basketball is doing pretty well. I wish, like we all do, we all kind of want things to be the way they used to be, the way they were when we got used to them, when players stayed 4 years. But that horse is out of the barn, transfer portal, one and done and all that. But I still think college basketball is in a very, very healthy.
Dan Shulman, at the busiest time of year, thank you so much for making time for us over here at Kelly & Company. We'll talk to you soon, Dan. Have a good ball season.
Thank you. My pleasure. Good speaking with you.
Thank you, sir. Dan Shulman joining us. Appreciate it. You can catch him, of course, covering Blue Jays baseball, a little more of NCAA basketball as the season wraps up before March Madness. On our next show, Rebecca Dingwell talks about running Brindle Bay, which is a tabletop reality game. Okay, a role-playing game, excuse me. And Amy Amanti wants to remind us St. Patrick's Day is coming up. She'll talk about it on the show. I'm waving at you. Fedora's off to you. Have a good day.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly & Company. Follow us on all social media. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.